Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to this exclusive conversation, VIP Empowerment Through the Arts, with our amazing, beloved Ivana Chubbuck. How are you today, Ivana?
I'm doing great. All things considered, I'm doing great.
So, yes, we will start. I want to ask you first a question that maybe give a few words why we call this event Empowerment Through the Arts. If you can say some words about that.
Okay, yes, I think it's important, and especially during a time when people are feeling helpless because the disease doesn't have a political affiliation, it doesn't have a religious affiliation, it has no affiliation other than it will attack you and do damage to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's so it's always been the case that people need to be empowered because people often take their pain and their traumas and their insecurities and their fears, and they've used it to self-destruct with, as opposed to using it as information that helps us understand better how to change, overcome, evolve, and have a better life. So the philosophy of my technique is really about taking the characters' um, circumstances, because all drama is based in someone who's hit bottom, and taking their circumstances of previous circumstances, their backstory, um, from their traumas and the things that have happened as a result of it, their insecurities, their fears, their life's choices that were often extremely self-destructive, and find a way for the character on the page to be able to win in spite of and because of that information, so that we're watching the journey of a dynamic person, not just the truth of a human being's journey, but the actual reality of watching somebody who is trying to overcome and win in spite of the world's pushing them down, bringing them heartache and hurt and physical pain and fear and all these things. And so the idea is for the character uh, journey to create a dynamic journey that people can root for, like a sporting event, really root for. And this is from a point of view of actors, writers, and directors. It's not just for actors, is to be able to take that journey and then personalize it to what it is that makes sense to you regarding that character on the page's journey. And then through that personalization, you're finding your way to explore growth, change, evolvement for not only the character, but for yourself as well. I think this is really, really important because it's the same information. You have a choice to make. People have choices. Choices aren't made for you. You make choices. And the choices that you make can make you have a satisfying life, or it could be one where you feel like you're in pain all the time, where you're always feeling like you're struggling for proverbial air, trying to find your way to the top, and everything keeps drowning you in and the undertow keeps bringing you back. Well, that's a choice. You're making that choice. In the same way that you make choices for your characters, whether, again, from a point of view of an actor, writer, or director, you're making life choices. And so learning through your art, what happens is that you see how it feels so good and empowering to be able to do this for your character through your personalizations, that you start to let it bleed into your real life. Now your audience views this very thing that they're watching. They're saying, I have the same pain and issues that the character on the screen has. And if that character can do something and change their lives with the same information, maybe so can I. So we're essentially giving your audience hope. Hope is really, really important because hope is something that we can we can breathe with. It gives us answers. It makes us have possibilities, probabilities. But hopelessness, when you feel hopeless, it stops everything. It makes you freeze. It keeps you from doing anything because you say, what's the point? I'm not going to get it anyway. So the choice of saying, I'm going to try to overcome and win with this information. I may not win. I may not get what I want. But the idea of going after it from the character's point of view and then from your personalizations, the act of trying to win makes you a winner. And that infuses an adrenaline energy that actually creates the ability to get success and love and career, because that energy resource is really attractive. It's sexy. People want to be around it, whether they're casting you in something or whether you're trying to get a man or a woman to fall in love with you. It's a very attractive and sexy energy. So it may not get you the very thing you think you want in that moment in time, but life finds its way to help you get to the better choices, because sometimes what you think you want is not what you want at all, but you won't know until it happens. That's a very long version of an answer.
No, I always know that when I will ask you a question, I give you the time. You always have something inspired to say. So, okay, so let's start with the question. And I also want to introduce my friend, our special teacher of the technique in Brazil, Marina. Hi, hello. Como você vai? Eu falo pouquinho.
Yeah, fala muito bem. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very proud to be spreading the word of Ivana, which I deeply believe it's like the source of all the power in acting. So I have a question as well, which is, Ivana, you are being seen by the Russians as the next Stanislavski. And I wanted to know which aspect of your technique that has made people realize that your contribution to the acting world is so big as Stanislavski. And I have a hunch, and I would like you to comment on that, which is he kind of brought the truth to acting, right? And I have the feeling that you reinvented the truth. Like you made the truth more raw and more visceral. Am I in the right path? Or
it's no, because truth is by its very nature is raw and visceral. It's what we do, how we try to manipulate the truth to fit our narratives that we want to have happen is what makes the surface less gritty and less raw, because we go, well, I'm going to take this truth and I'm going to make it pretty. So like my mother wasn't abusive. She was having a hard time with my father, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, but no, the gritty truth, a little kid has an abusive parent. That's all they see is abuse and hurt and pain and being thrown at them. But the glossy version is how we try to manage the grittiness of the truth to be able to live on a day-to-day existence. But artists need to always find the grittiness, the rawness, the part of it that is transcendent of your ability to rationalize. But what makes my technique different, or I should say different, supplies additional information, is taking the truth and finding the dynamic reality of power, empowerment of people. If we find the truth, just the truth by itself, I could be around somebody who's always complaining about how hard their life is and how other people that they love are treating them badly. And that's truthful. But they're complaining and they're whining and they're going, oh, my life is so bad and my boyfriend's always hurting me and my mother doesn't understand me and I can't get the job I want and nobody loves me and I don't have any friends or whatever. The thing is, that's truthful. That's real. That person is telling the truth. But do we want to spend time with someone who's complaining all the time? Do we want to spend time with them? Even if we love them very much, it's really hard to be around people like that. So why would we spend money to be around people we don't want to be around for free? Right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing, my technique is about trying to find empowerment, the power of your pain. There's a great deal of power in your pain. If your anger moves mountains, makes us do things that passionately, I need to do this, I need to overcome this, I need to spiritually, emotionally, energetically kill this person in my life. If that's, you're playing a killer, and your personalization is spiritually and energetically killing off that voice on your shoulder. I need to do this to be empowered because that voice hurts me. That voice breaks me. So I'm going to kill that voice in my work, playing this character to destroy that so I can explore winning, explore empowerment, explore the power of my pain. So that's the mark of a dynamic person. Now, would you want to watch a boxing match of two people who aren't trying to win? No. Would you like to watch that same boxing match when one person is trying to win and the other person doesn't give a shit? So the other person is going beat up, boom, boom, boom. No, we want to watch something. We want to watch the worst of circumstances that I don't even know how I'm going to find my way to fix this, overcome this, or find my way to get whatever your objective is, if it's love or power back or legacy or whatever it is that your overall objective is, that I need to get this. And I'm going to do everything I can to get it because and whatever the means justify the ends. And I'm going to get this, goddammit. And I'm bound and determined to get that. Now that's a journey I want to watch based in truth. So the difference is just finding truth is not enough. It's not enough because it could be irritating and annoying to watch somebody complaining, but oh, poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me. Oh God, get over it. Do something about it already. So, or somebody who is just having their private little moments by themselves and like, get over yourself. Want something from the other person. Need something from the other person. That other person can supply you, possible answers, a relationship, love, whatever it is that another person can give you. It's like I always use the example of when you go to a party, someone will come up to you and they'll say, hi, Marina, how you doing? And then they'll keep walking. And you go, did they want the answer? They asked the question, but they didn't want an answer. How do you feel when someone does that to you?
You feel terrible. You're not empowered at all.
Well, you feel kind of invisible. Nobody wants to feel invisible. So if you're not going after something from the other person and needing that, so now, part B of that is like, hi, Marina, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Ivana. Thank you for caring.
Well, because I know that you've been going through some stuff, and I, just want to really make sure that that I'm there for you. And to not just imply that I know her stuff, she knows I know what I'm talking about. We have a secret communication, which makes that person feel like they're important. So it's not just about the truth of your own interior. It's boring to watch somebody just have their own inner truthful thoughts, or to have somebody really truthfully be in pain and complain about it and whine about it. Wah. So the thing is, like, what do we want to do with those people? We want to go, I love you, man, but I don't want to be around you. You want to hang out tomorrow night? Oh, got something to do. I don't, but I can't. It's really hard to be around people that are that whine all the time. So do you want to duplicate that in your work in any way, shape, or form, as a director, as a writer, as an actor? Why would you want to do something that makes no sense to exploring, connecting to the world? And it's one of the reasons why what we do in this technique is use present stuff. That's really kind of what you're going through, so it becomes really raw and gritty, but also relatable universally to common human realities. My technique is based in behavioral science, the science of psychology, and cultural anthropology, which is the science of the history of humankind. And so this is what we're duplicating from the truth of what makes us, our survival instinct, both emotionally and physically, is a very, very important part of who we are. So to win is a very, very important part of being a human being. We want to be able to create a reality of audience that feels like they're watching a sporting match. Now, and because I am someone who is and has studied a lot of anthropology, the history of theater goes back 2,000 years. The history of sports and game playing goes back since the beginning of mankind. There's proof in sculptures and things that they have found in archaeological digs that have proven that games were being played and sports was being played. So we're talking about a really human primal energy that we want to push the button of our audience for, so that they will root for your characters or boo your characters, but be invested. That was a long answer again.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you so much.
Ivana, I'm gonna put you time now. No, it's okay. We have time, so all good. Okay, Daisy, it's the name.
Marina asked for me.
Okay, so
Okay.
Daisy, she had an experience a couple days ago, and she was wondering how is the best way to put humor in her pain, because she was playing like a funny manicure girl, and she was using a very deep, dark story about sexual molestation, and that she suffered when she was a child, and it was very hard for her to put humor in that situation. So that's her question, how to do it.
It's a hard question to answer because comedy comes in many forms. It's not, I'd have to know the script. It's hard to give like magic pill answers on how to put comedy into stuff. But the bottom line of comedy is we do the funniest things when we're not trying to be funny. Look back at the times when you would make you laugh out loud about behaviors that you've done maybe some years back, and you go, I can't believe I did that. But at the time was tragic. At the time that you were doing this insane shit that's making you, laugh in today's world, is like at the time was really, really awful. And so we end up doing too much when we're in desperate circumstances. Our body, because comedy comes in behavior. We laugh at what we see more than how you say a line. So it's so when we laugh, it's from behavior, from visuals. And so the more you desperately want whatever your objective is, and it has to be very, very primal, the more you need it, the more desperate you're to get it, and the more you allow yourself to just push the envelope and really go for it, funny stuff's going to happen in spite of you, not because you're trying to be funny, because comedy is not light, it's dark. The stuff that makes us do that crazy stuff is really dark. And so you'll find that people that are really, really funny or have a very dark reality. And like stand-up comics, comedy actors. I work with a lot of comedy people, and their past stories are very tragic, but they're trying to win and get what they want with great desperation, makes them naturally funny, organic, I'm going to say naturally, organically funny, which means it's coming from a real place. Let your audience laugh. You shouldn't be thinking it's funny. Now, sometimes the line will be to make somebody laugh. That's the action on that beat, is to make you laugh. And in that case, you're trying to make the other person laugh by being funny. Now, oftentimes what will happen is you will try to make someone laugh. Now, everybody, I'm going to say, how many people have ever had the experience that you tried to make somebody laugh and they didn't? I would think everybody. You can raise your hand. I like to see people's faces. I want to include everybody. I feed off of humanity. The Zoom reality makes me, technology, I fucking hate it. But the thing is, you be included where I ask questions like that, when you guys remember stories like that, makes me feel like we're having a conversation and not a, you're just listening to me, give a lecture, which could be really boring. So the thing is that we've all had that happen to us. What do we do when someone doesn't laugh? We try to save it. We try to say something or do something that makes it go, oh, that didn't work. Or we beat ourselves up going, why did we do that? Why did we say that? That was really dumb. That wasn't funny. And so then it creates comedy behavior, and you're trying to fix your screw up of not making that person laugh. Now, let's say you try to make that person laugh in the script, and you're the character who's trying to make someone laugh, and that person does laugh. Then you have this, at work, I'm funny, I'm a funny person, and so what happens is that it gives that interaction that allows for us to watch normal things that we've all had happen. There isn't anybody on the planet who has not done way too much in the name of wanting someone to love them or wanting to get a job so badly they ended up doing something really stupid, or said something really stupid that ended up making them not get the job. And but if we were to look back at that from an audience point of view, we'll be laughing, you will be horrified. So you have to feel like in those circumstances when people are laughing, and this happened to me because I used to do a lot of comedy back in the day when I was acting, which was when people were laughing, I would be using things like Daisy, really, really dark stuff. And people were laughing, and I'd be going like, why are you laughing? It's not funny. That would be my inner monologue. So you shouldn't be laughing at this. This is not funny. But then, of course, that reaction got a bigger laugh, so it was like, so if you're trying to be lighter, I'm not going to get laughs. If in the script, it's basically implied that this is meant like Fleabag. I don't know if you guys have Fleabag over there. Do you have Fleabag over there? She's always trying to make people laugh. That's part of her. I know, wonderful, right? Isn't that a great show? And that, by the way, for everybody who's waiting for someone to knock on their door to give them a part, or to have a show to direct, or to write. This is like this is we're talking about a person who wrote the show, at first as a one-woman show, then created a sizzle reel off of it, wrote it, produced it, got it around until she got it sold, and the rest is history. So the whole thing is that she's super successful. She's producing all kinds of great shows, by the way, she's not even in. You guys, it opens up the doors to becoming a mogul. So as opposed to like waiting for somebody to knock on your door, or for your agent to call you and say, hey, there's an audition for you, and yet you have to compete with 100 other people. 1,000 other people. I don't know, in this day and age, Netflix is doing everything all over the world. It's like, so you can be one of the Netflix people that they have exploring all over the world, is that you can create the Netflix, show. I have many clients. I work with them. I'm a script doctor too. I help them with their scripts, and they're just actors who are now have their own shows because that's what they did. They sat down and they wrote something that they needed to say, and then filmed it. You can film on an iPhone, you guys. You don't need to have special equipment. You can film on your iPhone. It's high-end filming. A lot of films are, in the indie market are being done on iPhones. It doesn't cost that much. It's something that you can create, and then you can put it on YouTube. It could go viral. You could create a sizzle reel, get it to with the sample pilot script, and get it to your networks that are there. I think Globo is one of them, and I think you have another one that's a biggie. And you could do this without an agent. So it's like you have this, because technology. Let's utilize technology to our benefit. Let's utilize the idea that there's so many platforms for you to do things, and that for you, shame on you for you waiting around for someone to give you a job. And shame on you for making it be something that you allow other people to have the power over you. This is called the power of the actor for a reason. It's the power. You have the power to make choices. Daisy made choices that she was very brave to make those choices. But if you don't take those choices and use it to win with, whatever your objective is, it won't be funny. It'll just be tragic, because you'll be sitting in your pain. If you're trying to really overcome and find catharsis in your objective with using the issues of your childhood, that then it's going to be funny and dramatic at the same time for people to be exploring both, which is Fleabag. And
Okay.
Ozark. You
Yeah.
guys have Ozark? Ozark also is another, it's got a lot of
Yeah, we
comedy.
need to go to the other question, but yeah, Ozark, it's my aunt's favorite show, by the way, my husband. And he doesn't watch anything, and he loves it.
Is it in Brazil? Is Ozark in Brazil?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another thing that's like, it's in spite of the drama, that's funny. It's meant to be a dramedy. It is meant to be a black comedy. It is meant to be that. And so the thing is, it shouldn't happen because you're trying to be funny. It should be, unless the line is meant to be, I'm trying to make you laugh, is that you're just trying to win something with so much desperation. Funny behavior will happen in spite of you.
Okay, let's go to Lorena. Where are you? Lorena, hi.
Hi, Ivana. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm so excited. I'm very excited to possibly meet you either this year or next year, because I'm going to LA right now. So I hope I'm gonna be at the studio. Yay. But yeah, so my question is, many times we have to act in a set, and obviously we're thinking about so many like technical directions, like lighting or costumes or choreography or technical things, really. And obviously it's said that there are emotional actors and there are rational actors. So do you think there is a possibility that we have like a little bit of both, and we have like a technical notion, but at the same time we can still perform emotionally? And like this thing you talk about, the feeling of the actor, and obviously we want to make the other person feel the emotion, but how do we do that with all the technical stuff that we have to think of everything at the same time?
Okay, so what you have to be aware of, that you got to let other people do their job. There's a lighting person that will light you wherever you are. The photographer, the DP, the director of photography, you'll be marked in a place where he's going to find you. You don't have to worry about that. And they also tell you, it's like you're gonna be filmed up to here, you know, so you know that you can still do all the same stuff that you were doing, but you're going to have to be shot up to here, you know. So it's you got to not think in terms of I got to do everybody else's job for them, with them, about them in any way, shape, or form. What you do is you go after your objective. Let all the work that you've done before do step 12, let it go so it can happen with impulses and things that can happen off of what the other person's giving you. So remember, you're responding to the other person. You're giving and you're getting. And you have to then take the get and give back. And so the thing is, you're going to be in real time always responding to what the other person's doing. Usually what they'll do the block rehearsal is they mark you. They set a mark where you're meant to stand, where you have to find yourself when you were doing the block rehearsal. And there's a little piece of tape there where you're supposed to go. Just assume, you've worked on set before, right? Lorraine, have you worked on set before?
Yeah, I've been like 12 years working on set. So.
Okay, so then you'll support me in this, and you know, once you've done it once, your body just naturally goes there, right? And you don't have to think about it. The very first time I remember when I was acting, and I thought that I was so scared about what about being in the right place at the right time, you know, making sure I was there, here, there. And then the second time I worked, I just went there. So the first time is daunting because you're going to be thinking all the things Lorena was thinking. But then you just go to your work, do your work as an actor. There's so many people on a set that have a job. Let them do it. They've been hired to take care of your sound. They've been hired to take care of your lighting and your and the visuals and right. And there's somebody also there who's a script supervisor who will also be there if you forget your lines. You know, you're taken care of. So you don't have to even like, it's, and there's also another off of what you're saying is I'd like to pass along to you, is that sometimes we forget our lines and it's okay to ad lib when that happens.
Yeah.
Kind of go with it. Especially in theater because you can't stop action, but never say I'm sorry and it's when you're filming. Keep going because something really interesting may happen that you didn't expect, a reaction because you couldn't remember your line or because the other person couldn't remember their line, and you're just keep going with the flow of it because something really fabulous gold will happen, you know, that those kind of moments where you go like, where did that come from? And that's the take they use. So get out of your head. Step 12, Lorena. Step 12, let it go. Do your work, let it go.
Wow, good one. Thank you for that question. Let it go. It's like it's written on my
Thank you,
everywhere.
Ivana. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Let it go.
It's very, very helpful because that's the hardest step for anybody who's ever acted. Am I right? If you want to hold on to your work, am I right, everybody? I mean, you could like
Totally.
It's like really, you just want to hold on to your work because they're afraid it's going to disappear somehow. It doesn't. It sticks, but it comes out in a way that you didn't expect. That's the beauty of the let it go portion of things. Okay.
So, Viviana.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hi, hello, Ivana. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Well, my question is, if I'm doing a monologue about how I feel about my husband, and I'm using my daughter as a substitution, how to create the sexual chemistry the scene asks, thinking on my daughter and looking at a masking tape.
Okay, so you're talking about looking at masking tape, not at another human being, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how often do you have to deal with masking tape situations? Because usually the other actor will be standing there for you.
In auditions,
An
sometimes
audition,
yes,
in auditions, they won't let you talk to the casting director?
not not
Won't let
every
Not
you-
time.
always. Not
Or
always.
the reader.
It's a
They don't have a
self-tape,
reader.
no?
Look, listen, I need to know who's reading the other lines.
No, it's a monologue.
Oh, it'd be a monologue. Okay, so it's a monologue and you're in the room, or this is a
Yes.
self-tape. This is a self-tape or,
Audition.
okay,
When
this would be in the room, you're doing a monologue. And that's
yes,
all you're doing. And it's, and
yes,
it's only, and they have a piece of tape that you're supposed to be looking at.
yes.
Okay. Okay, and they won't let you look at them. I just don't know how it works in Brazil, but generally whoever's reading, you get to look at them. And how often how often do you have monologues that you have to do as an audition?
Quite often. Quite
A lot of
often,
times.
and sometimes you do have to look at the tape. Sometimes they won't let you. For instance, there's this tape that you have to do to sign in for Global. They're always like that.
Okay, so they'll have you do monologues and then they'll look at a piece of tape. Okay, so normally in the case of using someone that is your someone that you don't have a sexual energy with, is normally the case of because of the inner work substitution is or inner work substitution and inner work is meant to be about your emotions. Sexuality is with the person that's in front of you always, because we can create a chemistry with everyone with the chemistry exercise. So what you would do in the other circumstances, so everybody understands the difference here, because we don't do the tape thing here. So, and I don't know very many countries that do this. Israel, they don't do that, gal in Israel, do they? Tape?
No, but sometimes on the set, I remember I had one time that the actor had to leave and they just made me look, but not.
Yeah, we have that a lot here. We have that a lot on set. Like actors have to leave, or you have to look at the camera to some point with no actors.
Yeah, but there's somebody who's saying the lines, so you still look at you human being. So the thing is, it's like, it's the tape thing is the thing let's talk about the reality of the tape thing, which is a very unusual thing to Brazil. So let's talk about what you would normally do with most circumstances, which is the person, whether it's the actor who's acting with you or the AD who's throwing lines at you for your eye line, they'll be there. There's a person that you can sexually, have a fantasy about. There'll be a person there on set when the actor has to go. So the rule usually applies in every circumstance except for tape. So if it's going to be tape, my suggestion then is to not to use your daughter in those circumstances and use somebody that you have a sexual energy with, because then you're trying to think of too many things at the same time and your head's going to be thinking of nothing. The system, the 12-step system, is to make it simpler, triggering, so you could just behave and be real and be and make it and be effortless and seamless. When you're thinking, my daughter's stuff, and now that piece of tape is, I want to have sex with that piece of tape. It's like, I don't know about you, but I haven't wanted to have sex with tape for a long time. So it's, I don't know how to go back into that place in time. So I'd have to just go like, in those particular cases, you're going to have to use somebody that you have a sexual energy with, or you want to have sex with, that you wished that person was back in your life, a person that you have a crush on or whatever. But I'm gathering that this tape thing, because normally there's someone who's going to be reading with you, if it's dialogue back and forth, that you could always just use that person for your sexuality and your inner work for your child, whatever, for your inner work. That I would think that it doesn't happen as often as the tape thing doesn't happen that often. Am I right? Okay, so but on those rare occasions when it happens, just go with the flow on that and just make it easy for yourself. There's got to be someone that you have sexual energy with that has messed with your heart somehow. So once you're past the age of 18, that's kind of going to be the way it goes.
Thank you.
Juliana.
Hello, Ivana. It's a pleasure to be here. So my question is actually about 2 points, but I think they are connected. It's about emotional diary, when you use it before starting the scene, and the famous last step, let it go. And because these 2 steps, we have to leave our mental and go to our visceral. And I have some difficulties in doing a good emotional diary. I mean, to be warm enough for the scene, on fire. And also, I still feel unconscious in control on my scene. So my question is, do you have any suggestion to improve our let it go and go to our deepest work?
I think it's about trusting, and I think in terms of like emotional diaries, you can do one in the morning, and it will stick to you. It's information. It doesn't require you to. In class, we do it right before a scene, just to get used to attaching yourself to very specific things that are creating a chunkier environment of information, more things that we've forgotten in our lives that we can use as inner objects. And so in terms of like the emotional diary on set before or on stage before you enter stage, and you don't need to do that. You just need to do it to set things in motion in your script analysis, and you do a moment before right before you start. That moment before should be an event, a what if event or a real event. And what if event is based on a real fear of something happening, or a real event that makes you really need what's going on in the scene urgently and desperately. So that puts you in the place of like being there. Emotional diary is just basically more informational to help you understand, because it's your subconscious giving you information, saying, oh, I forgot this happened, or I didn't realize I had these feelings about that, or I have a lack of resolution in this, which I thought I would resolve. It's information for you to dig into your script analysis. But the moment before will get you going. Before you start the scene, whether it's in front of a casting director or self-tapes, you need, or shooting or whatever, or getting on stage, you really need to have a moment before. A moment before is take 30 to 60 seconds. If it takes any longer than that, then it's not the right moment before. It's got to push your buttons like that. And so that's the thing that gets you going. It's not the emotional diary. Okay. So, I oftentimes, when someone needs to get to hyper emotional places for a particular scene, I'll have them do the emotional diary in their head, then moment before, and then the scene, because there's always a time, like when they're twisting the lights and going through the final things before they say action, to do all that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So right now we have Zaida.
Okay. I am Zaida.
Zaida.
I'm probably Zaida. Probably I'm older than your mother. So I am young old lady that began acting about 5 years ago. My question for you is about substitutions. Since everybody important in my life has died centuries ago, how can you bring them to the moment? And that's a part of the question. And the second part of the question is somebody who has...
Okay, yeah.
No, let's start with the first because we don't have time for
No, but it's the same thing. Somebody with whom I had issues in the past, but now are in good terms. How do I substitute and bring everything to the moment?
Okay, so
Substitutions.
okay, substitutions. Okay, okay. So in terms of important people, my mother just died at 95. So, and I'm 68. Just so you know that this is not that much younger than you. My father died in 1992. Now I can use him all day long, and I can use him till the day I die, because I still communicate with him. You communicate with your people that you love in your special way. Those are the people that I still want my father to be proud of me. I've never heard the words "I love you," never. So I could use and have used when I talk about my stuff when I'm teaching. It's like that person. Well, what if that person's passed away? And I said, have you stopped talking to that person? And he said, no. Do you still want something from that person? Yes. I still want my father to say, I love you. Will I ever hear it? I somehow or another he's going to find a way to communicate that to me. I think he is. Something just lit up. Maybe that's what he was saying to me. Something just literally lit up when I said that. Do I want to be proud of me? Everything I do, for my daughter who is alive, and for my father who has been long dead. I don't even know what to do the math, but it's been a long ass time. Is that I want him, so every time I accomplish something, it's like, are you proud of me yet? Are you proud of me yet? I'm getting goosebumps, because I'm feeling that. I really need him for that, for real. And you feel it was in 1992, you guys, and I still want my daddy. Okay, so in terms of somebody that you have a resolved relationship with, resolution is not always what we think. Sometimes we think we've resolved something, and sometimes we have not. Sometimes we have not resolved something, but our conscious mind trying to protect us says we have. So this is where the emotional diary comes in to help us figure out, have we resolved it or not? And so does this person that you have a good relationship with, you know how to do emotional diaries, right, Zayda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, does this person come up a lot with "I need you to love me"? Does this person's name come up when you have the emotional diary prompt? "I need you to love me." Does he ever come up?
No, because it's my daughter. I think that she knows that I love her.
Okay. So, does she ever come up? I need you to love me or forgive me or whatever. So is like, I need you to absolve me of my guilt. Does she ever come up in any of your emotional diaries?
Oh yes, it does.
Okay, then you haven't resolved it. There's still stuff that you have to resolve. If she didn't come up, then it's not usable, because you've worked it out. In today's world, you've worked it out. So if she keeps coming up, there's whatever. The why, the because part, when you put the because after you put the name, you put the because, the why is super important. What is not resolved? Because maybe certain things are resolved with your daughter, but certain things aren't. Like, for example, I have resolved a bunch of stuff with my daughter. We were having major struggles. She's 32 right now. But she keeps coming up a lot because the part that I have resolved is trying to control everything she was doing, because I thought if I didn't control her, she would die. So I had to control her every move. And of course, she was doing everything that was going to make her die, because that's what people do. Whenever you try to control them, they do the opposite. They do exactly what you don't want them to do. So when you play a control freak, that's what's going to happen. When you play someone who's being controlled, know that you have permission to do the opposite, because that is what we do. It's the human nature. So I backed off on that, and so I don't do that. It's really hard not to do that, but I don't. But other things that I don't know how to. This is what I can't resolve, because my mother was an abusive, violent emotionally, verbally, and violently abusive. But she was mentally ill. She was very mentally ill. So she didn't, we never knew when she was going to get violent. It never made sense. It wasn't because of drinking, or we couldn't say like, I know when this is going to happen, because you never know when mental illness was going to trigger, something was going to trigger in her, that she was going to go crazy and really be massively violent in what she did. And also was a hoarder, all these things. And so I don't know how to parent. I had to take over that job. And I didn't know what I was doing. I have 6 siblings. I have no idea how to do that. I was a child myself, but someone had to do it. And so I feel like I don't know how to parent her. So I feel like I'm giving, whenever she's feeling really insecure about something, I think that's because of me. And I don't know how to fix it because I didn't have the proper parenting. And so the thing is, she comes up as like, I feel you need absolving my guilt that I can give you a good self-image and that kind of stuff. I have a lot of stuff still that is left to be, figured out about my daughter. So you guys, our people in our lives, our primal people, are going to be a gift that keeps on giving. So is it ever going to stop? No. There's a little kid inside of you that will always feel that. The adult in you will say, hey, I'm over that. Me and my mom are doing great right now. Me and my dad are doing great now. My dad finally showed up. He abandoned me, but he finally showed up. And he's really, really invested in my life right now. How do I use it? Well, there's still a little kid who feels abandoned, and the little kid's never going to go away. And that little kid, Sayuri, how old are you?
81.
81. So is that little kid in you gone? No, that little kid in you is still there, and it will be there forever. The little kid is going to be around forever inside of you, and it's always usable, because that the point of view of a little kid is so pure and so needy and so focused to get what they want without rationale or logic. They just go after what they want.
Thank you very much. I like these primal people.
Yeah,
I love primal screams. I do primal screams once upon a time.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I'll be moving to Corvallis, Oregon in February, and so I will see you in LA probably.
Yay! Oh, come to me. And Marina is there for you guys in Brazil. She's amazing, like big time. She's a good colleague. She's an excellent colleague.
A very good teacher, excellent teacher.
We're getting everybody saying how much they love you. Okay, so
I love you, Marina.
I love you.
I'm practicing my Portuguese with you. Amanda.
Hi, Ivana. It's so nice to meet you. I'm currently in classes with an online class with Chris, and I guess the biggest thing that I've been struggling with is kind of been choosing the inner objects, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because I'm a very over analytical person, I think, and I get very even just physically anxious, and so in choosing the inner objects, I keep in my head of how directly related do they need to be, when do I as if, and when Chris walks me through it, I feel like I'm much more able to let go and connect using whatever he's doing, but I struggle to get there myself in those choices and then get out of my head.
Well, first of all, it's a picture. It's a picture attached to the inner work that you started from your substitution, and why you need the substitutions, whatever your objective is. And so it's just a picture. It's just pictures that are attached to person, place, thing, or event that's either that you listen to or that you're speaking from. And the pictures, we respond more in pictures. It's how we learn language. Babies learn language by picture first, then the word. Picture first, then the word. That's how we learn. So what pictures are worth 1,000 words. You know the saying of that. So I'm going to help you so much right now, and letting you know that there are no wrong or right answers. It's just more effective and less effective. So any picture you come up with, it could be something that is far afield from something just what you think is the right one. But don't think about right or wrong, because somewhere in your personal history, you had to be perfect to be loved. And if you weren't perfect, then what would happen is that you would be punished in some way, like you weren't a good enough kid, you weren't smart enough for me to love you, that you had to earn that. You had love with conditions, and your conditions in your head was, I have to be perfect. Well, perfection and art is they're against one another.
Yeah.
Art is freedom. Okay, art is freedom. And so when you make choices, just make them.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they work, it's the right one. If they don't work, it's the wrong one. Okay, that's your barometer, because any choice is a good choice. A great example of that is Al Pacino. Everybody knows who Al Pacino is, right? Al Pacino. When Al Pacino was asked by an interviewer, what does it feel like to be an acting icon? And he said, well, I don't know anything about being an acting icon. I make a lot of choices and I hope they work. I make a lot of choices and I hope they work. That's the best you can do, because you're still going to be doing more than what most actors do, which is they're just trying to be instinctual. And that's kind of all over the place. It becomes a mush. So you're doing your analysis by breaking it down, putting it, just put the first picture that comes to your head. It's like, it doesn't have to, it's not, don't think of it as solving the pandemic. We're not doing that kind of science, okay? All we're doing is being human beings, and we're basically pretty simple. Our needs are really simple. Our needs are primal. We need to eat to survive. We need a shelter over our head. We need to take care of our children. We need to find love, and we need to have power in our lives. Strength and power and forward motion and purpose. These are pretty basic things, right? So when you're breaking it down and you try to get really complicated, thinking somehow or another the more complicated version is going to be the better version, it's all it does is messes with your head.
Yep.
It's pushing buttons inside your body. That's what you want, is get your head. And if you understand that your head isn't because you're over intellectualizing, it's because you're pleasing. And if you understand that it's not coming from a place of I happen to naturally just be over analytical, it's really coming from a different resource, of an emotional one that I need, that the only way that I've ever been loved by a particular person or persons was if I was perfect. And let me tell you something, that perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Like, is there anything that may have an essence of perfection, but it's never fully perfect? It doesn't happen. So what you're trying to do is accomplish something that's only going to make you unhappy.
Yeah.
And so if you take that off the plan, just make choice, just be Al Pacino, make a bunch of choices, and I hope they work.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell that to my mom, that there is no perfection? Please.
Right?
My question is not about technique. In general, have you ever had a student who had the potential to become an actress, but despite all the feedback she had and the people telling her to go ahead because she was good, she was stuck because maybe because of her low self-esteem or afraid of not being enough? What advice would you give her?
You have to really get real with yourself. Are you leaving it or not pursuing it because you don't really want to do it, or because of low self-esteem? Because I find that I don't know any actor that doesn't have low self-esteem. It's why they want to be actors, you know, so it comes with the territory. But sometimes people just don't want to explore the parts of themselves that they need to explore to be good actors. And you have to be brave. It's not about the low self-esteem, it's about bravery and passion. Some people really just don't want to be actors with that kind of passion, that they were willing to go to those really dark and deep places that require great bravery to go to. But you have to have the passion to be brave. I love doing what I do. I love teaching. I'm brave. I'm so brave to delve into your stuff because I delve into my stuff through you. Your stuff is my stuff. My stuff is your stuff. We're all in this together, right? We're family. We're a family of artists and crosses all kinds of geography lines. Because we are a planet of artists, and there is no geography. We all exist together as a community. If you don't have the real resolve to want to be an artist, which means with all the people telling you that you're bad, with all the investigation of looking at the things that scare you to look at, with all the things that tell you that you shouldn't or can't or won't succeed. If you feel that those are more importantly listened to, then maybe acting isn't what you should be doing. It's not the only thing on the planet to be doing that you can have passion about. There's so many different, first of all, other art forms if you want to stay in the world of art, or there's other things to be doing. It's like my sister. I'm going to give you a better example. One of my dearest friends from high school, in fact, the only friend that I still keep in touch with, is a guy who is a jazz musician. He went to Berklee School of Music, is what's considered one of the most important schools of music in the world. And he got in. He's one of the few people that got in. He's that good. He ended up playing with Dizzy Gillespie. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's huge. And so he wasn't loving it, but he was great at it, but he wasn't loving it. So he went back to school and he took college to university, and he took a bunch of classes that were in totally different fields. I mean, from science to literature to this, everything was just very different until he found something that he really loved. He found he loved high math. Then he started looking at, into physics, and he fell in love with physics. He's become a very important, world-renowned nuclear physicist. He is not, it's all about math. He's not an artist anymore. He plays bar mitzvahs sometimes on weekends, but he's Jewish, or just so you know. There's a reason why bar mitzvahs and weddings. But that's the only, he just keeps his hand in it, but not because he has passion. He has passion about nuclear physics, and he's great at it. So you guys, sometimes life is just about trying to find your purpose. Then your purpose is going to be found by finding out what you love the most.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Laura. If we have time, we will have James. That's something popped up to his mind. So if we will have the time, we will give you to ask the question. Okay, we will see. Laura, yeah.
Hi, Ivana. I'm so excited to be here. I can't stop smiling. First of all, I have to say that I am so thankful to you and to Marina, because I started studying with Marina in January, and I have gone from bad depression and crazy panic attacks to moving out of a toxic home. And I feel like a whole different person.
You guys, we all have to applaud the people who take information, it's empowerment through the arts, to be able to take and think. I'm grateful that it's through my philosophy that you found this. But she left a toxic situation. How hard is that? that requires a lot of this. Come on, everybody. A lot of this.
So just, yeah, I
Good for
really,
you.
thank you for that, and Marina, thank you. Okay, so now the question. I feel that generally speaking, of course, most Brazilian actors don't have the same access American actors have to method acting itself. You know, I mean, like the methods that emerged after Stanislavski. We do have a few teachers who approach that and teach it brilliantly here, like Estrela. I think she's here somewhere. But it's not as common as you would think. So right now, I have been a lot into Strasbourg lately, and I can't help but wonder where sensory training and the Chubbuck technique meet, because I feel there is a fusion somewhere, especially when we do the substance abuse or scars and bruises exercises you mentioned by the end of your book.
Mm-hmm. That's how I remember I'm doing things from the sense of science of behavior, science of psychology, science of cultural anthropology. So every sensory thing, which is playing drunk or pregnant or serial killer or being in fear, dying, all those things. I created a pattern that exists because behavior has patterns. One of the most important classes that I took when I was in university was a class called Finding Mathematical Equations in Human Behavior. At the time, I thought this is one of my favorite classes, but what the hell am I ever going to do with a class like this with the information? Well, lo and behold, I ended up having systems to get to feeling drunk, feeling fear, organically, because you really do go there. You really feel the bruise. You really feel like you're a paraplegic. All these things become real senses, organic senses. Your heart beats faster if it's a fear. Your pupils contract. Your hair stands on end. This becomes less trying to duplicate something, which is what you're talking about in the method, Strasbourg, but more finding organically through mathematical equations of behavior how to literally go there. It's really, I did when I was writing the book, like my editor from Penguin Books wasn't an actor, didn't want to be an actor, never had a thought to be an actor. So I tested all those things on her. Every single what do you call it? The whatever the recipe was, in terms of like this. There's 8 steps to get there. There's 4 steps to get. There's 5 steps to get there. The equation of that. I would have her test it out. Did she really feel pregnant? Did she really feel the fear? Did she really feel all this stuff? So whenever she didn't feel it, I'd redo the equation until she did. So it was definitely worked the same way a scientist works out their experiments of trying to find a solution to something to get to those places. So all those things are done through experimentation and applying it towards a human specimen. so they work. So that's you don't need to fuse. There's a lot of people who have only worked with the system because the system includes so much of the other stuff by organically. It's that you don't, and because we're dealing with the sciences are fast, and they're fast. They're concrete, So the idea is we're finding our fluidness of the freedom of art through the science of that are hard and fast of numbers. It's numbers. There's math in everything. I don't think you need to start going into fusing land. I always found that when I was reading most books about acting, that there was a lot of theory, and I didn't know what to do with that theory because I needed something I could tangibly and practically understand, because my head's a math head. I mean, I was one of those kids in math honors, classes when I was a little girl with the tape on my glasses kind of girl. It's like I was one of those. I was a nerd, And the thing is that if I don't understand, theory doesn't make sense to me. But what makes sense to me is numbers. So I created a system that has numbers to it. So that most people could understand practically how to break down a script, how to get to those different kinds of places organically in your body that normally you can't duplicate from the outside. You have to have from the inside, because you can't make your heart beat fast from the outside. You can't make your pupils contract from the outside. You can't make your skin crawl from the outside. So the thing is how to do all that, and created a system that I did have a lot of experimentation with before it became a book and a way to work out. So I think we have time for James, right?
Thank you.
We are done right now, but
Laura.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just want to say that was a really good question. I just really like that a lot, because it's helped for people understand. Because sometimes people think you have to do all that, like Amanda. Amanda feels like she has to I have to do everything, and then it's the only time I'm going to be good. But it's like keeping it simple. Whatever really pushes your buttons and allows you to really feel the freedom of your art. That is when.
Yeah, I suck at math, but I have never been good with numbers, but it's definitely working, because I have been figuring out things with Marina that I haven't understood in 10 years of therapy. My therapist loves Marina. You have no idea. Every week I show up with something different, and she's like,
but it is, but Laura, you're talking about numbers from a math book. You're not talking about the numbers that you live every day. How many miles does it get to the kilometers or whatever you guys use? Does it take to go from point A to point B? How much time does it take to get there? How much time does it take for me to dress to go there? How much time do I want to spend there? That's all numbers. But just but you're thinking in terms of math books, which are really terribly boring. So you are good at math, because it makes sense to you what Marina's been teaching you, to the point where it's helping you in your own psychology.
Okay, it's already 10:30, so we need to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really in awe for what's happening here. And when I'm hearing all these questions, and I'm so blessed that I told you let's do that, and you said okay, and wow, I think it's something. I feel so connected to you, Ivana. I don't know if it's our Jewish souls or what is it, but really,
it's the artist's communication.
The artist soul, yeah, and you are amazing, Brazil, and eu adoro vocês.
Love. Can't wait to meet you all.
Thank you.
Love. Thank you. You're amazing.
And something Brazilians always say, please come to Brazil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come to Brazil.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.